Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
Karmani asmin nanasvase dhuma dhumratmanam bhavan apayayati govinda pada padma savan madhu. Translation. The sages said, we have just begun performance of this fruitive activity, namely sacrificial fire, without any certainty of its result on account of many frailties in the action. Our body is blackened by the smoke, but we are factually pleased by the nectarine of the lotus feet of the personality of God Govinda, administered by you. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The sacrificial fire kindled by the sages of Naimisharanya was certainly full of smoke and doubts on account of so many flaws in such activity. The first flaw is that there is acute scarcity of expert Brahmins able to carry out such performances successfully in this age of Kali. Any discrepancy in such sacrifices spoils the whole show, and the result is uncertain, like that in the matter of agricultural enterprises. Good result of tilling the paddy field depends on providential rain, and therefore the result is uncertain. Similarly, performances of any kind of sacrifice in this age of Kali is also uncertain. Unscrupulous, greedy Brahmins of the age of Kali induce innocent public for such uncertain sacrificial show without disclosing the scriptural injunction that in the age of Kali there is no other fruitful sacrificial performance except the sacrifice of congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Sutta Goswami was narrating such transcendental name and glories of the Lord before the congregation of sages, and they were factually perceiving result of hearing of the transcendental activities of the Lord. One can feel like that practically as much as one can feel the result of eating foodstuff within oneself. Spiritual realization acts in that way. The sages of Naimisharanya were practically sufferers from the smoke of a sacrificial fire and were doubtful about the result. But by hearing from a realized person like Sutta Goswami, they were fully satisfied. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it is said by Vishnu to Shiva that in the age of Kali, man full with anxieties of various kinds can vainly labor in a matter of fruitive activity and philosophical speculations. But when they are engaged in the matter of devotional service, the result is sure and certain without any loss of energy. In other words, anything performed either for spiritual realization or for material benefit cannot be successful without being accompanied by devotional service of the Lord. Om Adyan Terinandasya Gyanajana Shalakiyam Chakshunanmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master's divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has opened my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto his lotus feet. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
So, the sages of Naimisharanya were performing this great sacrifice to counteract the effect of the age of Kali. This is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Even for insignificant matters, great conflicts arise. This is not due to the issue in discussion, but it is due to the contaminated atmosphere, surcharged with godlessness. There is no God consciousness. This is the topmost difficulty. People think, oh, it's the environment, the ecological crisis, the climate change and animal killing and social injustice, politics, so many causes they point out. But actually, the answer is very simple. Lack of God consciousness and lack of God conscious people. Srila Prabhupada was explaining that Because in India, at least, there is some remnants of Vedic culture. People understand, if I steal, I'll be punished by the law of karma. It is not that I simply commit atrocities and criminal activities and it will be unnoticed. You might escape by the law of the government, but you cannot escape the law of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is within everyone's heart. He's witnessing all the activities, whatever nonsense is going on, and he's noting down. And then you will have to suffer the resultant actions. So that is why we have to preach this Krishna consciousness. It is also meant to deliver people from all the sinful reaction to their sinful activities, criminal activities. If we do not preach Krishna consciousness, if we do not enlighten, if we do not say, this is sinful activity, you should not do this, people will go on committing sinful activities without any knowledge, and they will suffer in the future, you see. So, these sacrifices performed by the sages of Naimisharanya, they create a lot of smoke. And just like the smoke makes things hazy, you cannot see anything. Similarly, any other process except the chanting of the holy name, Hare Krishna, the result is very hazy, very doubtful whether there is any effect. In this age, the Vedic scriptures, they prescribe the chanting, Sankirtan. And all the other processes, they're discouraged. Especially 5 acts are forbidden in the age of Kali. Sacrifice of a cow or a horse. In the past, they would sacrifice these animals in the sacrificial ceremony. So that is forbidden. Begetting children in the brother's wife. Sometimes if the brother died in the previous ages, and his wife would have no children, then his brother could beget children. This was allowed. But people were so self-controlled that it wouldn't create a social disturbance. But nowadays it would create a great problem, because people are very lusty, cannot control their senses. So that is forbidden. Taking sannyas is forbidden also. One should not take sannyas in the age of Kali. Only for preaching purposes. Otherwise, the sannyasi role is misused to cheat people. For begging purposes, eating purposes. For that reason it is forbidden. Not for preaching. Lord Chaitanya himself took sannyas. Some devotees, they proclaim this, that, Srila Prabhupada is forbidden sannyas. That is not true. That is a misinterpretation of Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And what else is forbidden? I forgot exactly. In the age of Kali. Offering flesh to the forefathers. There was some kind of a ritual like that people would offer flesh to the forefathers, to please the forefathers. So not just these 5 acts, but all other processes, fruitive activities, karma kant, jnana kant, everything ineffective, no effect. Yoga, exercises, yoga practice, Ashtanga yoga, hatha yoga, this yoga, that, everything ineffective in the age of Kali. Because the society is so downtrodden. So there is a shortcut. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasti, Vanasti, Vanasti, Eva Gatiranyata. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Chant the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way of self-realization in this age of Kali. So, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inaugurated this Sankirtan movement 500 years ago in the West Bengal, in Navadvip. He started this chanting, ecstatic chanting, dancing and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And we should follow in his footsteps. He also said this chanting should be spread in every town, in every village. So we should do this. This will create a very auspicious atmosphere. And those who do not understand the value, they criticize. Oh, why so much chanting? Why unnecessary you chanting? This is not good. When Lord Chaitanya started the Sankirtan movement also, there were so-called Brahmins, caste Brahmins. In the Varaha Puranam, it is mentioned that the demons Krishna could not kill during his pastimes. Krishna comes here into this earthly planet and manifests his activities. So Krishna killed many demons, but many demons have escaped, and these demons took birth in the wombs of caste Brahmins' wives, hereditary Brahmins. The Brahmin is not a question of birth, but there's a misconception like this. So they're being given opportunity to take birth in these pious families, but because they misuse their privilege, they become Rakshasas. The Rakshasa mentality has awakened again. So such demoniac people, they have objected when Lord Chaitanya started the Sankirtan movement. And they lodged complaint to Chand Kazi. Chand Kazi was a Muslim governor. At that time, India was governed by the Muslims. So the Sankirtan movement has no difficulty, there's no conflict with the Muslim community. The Muslim community, they're also monotheistic, where also Sankirtan movement is monotheistic, one God. And the Muslim religion also glorifies the name of God, just like they say, in the name of Allah. Right? So there is no difference. The enemies of this movement are these so-called Brahmins. No qualification and wearing a threat. This is not a Brahmin, this is a Rakshasa, a pretender. So they have lodged complaint to the police, the Qazi, that this Nimai Pandit, he's chanting too long kirtans, sometimes 2-3 hours. This is too much, and very loudly he's chanting. So this will awaken God. God is taking rest, and if he is chanting, Nimai Pandit is chanting too loudly, he will wake up God, and then God will destroy all of us. This was the argument. Prabhupada speaks of this. Such a foolish argument. Chanting of the holy name is very pleasing to God, to Krishna. All the religions, they emphasize the name of God. Let the holy name be glorified. In the Bible also, hallowed be thy name. Let the holy name of God be glorified. So much emphasis on the holy name. How can these people say it is disturbing to God. God is sleeping. See? God is under the influence of tamagun. That is their conclusion. So intelligent, so-called. God is under the influence of tamagun. Tamagun means ignorance, the three modes of material nature that govern this world. But Krishna, or God, is not controlled by material energy. He is transcendental. If God is controlled by anything, how can He be God? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, no equal nor superior, that is God. So it was a foolish argument. But Chandkazi, so after all Hindus are complaining, so I must act. When there is a complaint, we also have the experience when some nonsense people disturb the Sankirtan movement. When the police come, instead of protecting the devotees, they say, you both rascals, because you both create disturbance, so we're going to shut down all of you. You cannot chant and you cannot complain. Go home and do nothing. No discrimination. There's a Kali Yuga police. So Chandkazi, he acted and he forbidden the Sankirtan. So this is instigated by the so-called Brahmins, so-called Hindus. Not the Muslims, not in some kind of a outsider sect, but from within, from the inside. That's how the Rakshasas are acting, from within, from the inside. From the outside, that is easy, that we understand, or he's an outsider, he doesn't understand. But from the inside, oh, that is very dangerous. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, if our men, Gaudiya Math, at that time, it was called Gaudiya Math. The name of the movement changes according to the Acharya. He said, if our own men, they become sadhyas, they become more dangerous. They become more dangerous. Just like the example is given. If a thief dresses like a policeman, oh, that is more dangerous than a regular thief. Because everyone thinks, oh, this is a policeman. So they don't take any precaution. You see, there was an instance, someone was telling me, Maitreya, there was a guy in Scandinavia, right? And he dressed like a police, and he said to the people that there is a sniper, he's killing people, please come this way. And the people were freaking out, they were panicking. So they were rushing towards him, and how they were rushing, he pulled out a gun and shot them. Very vicious, very evil, very cunning. Not just criminal, but very vicious criminal. So, we have to be very careful. I have a few quotes here about these compromises. Why these brahmanas were feeling so much enmity towards Lord Chaitanya and the Sankirtan movement. Because if people understand, the process is so easy. You can just chant Hare Krishna, it can be anywhere. And if you chant seriously, offenselessly, you'll go back home, back to God. No need of temple, no need of deities, no need of institution, no need of religion, organized religion. Is not needed. So if people understand this point, then all these so-called Brahmins were performing all these superficial yagyas and deity worship. Their business is finished. So it's a threat. It's a threat. Just like Coca-Cola, they have a recipe. Very carefully guarded recipe. No one can know the recipe for Coca-Cola. So now if somehow or other, you know the recipe, you start distributing freely, then Coca-Cola will be very angry, right? They might even kill you. They might pay a killer and to kill you. So precious, this secret. But that is Coca-Cola, that is business. In spiritual life, there should not be any secret. Ramanujacharya, he was instructed by a spiritual master. He gave him a mantra and he said, this mantra liberates. Will give you liberation, but don't say anyone. So Ramanujacharya, he went on the roof in the marketplace and freely he started distributing the mantra. He told the people, please listen to this mantra, it will bring you liberation. So when his spiritual master he saw this, he said, what is this? I told you not to say, and you're freely distributing the mantra, what is this? So Ramanujacharya, he answered, yes, I know. But since you told me that this mantra brings liberation, shouldn't everyone be liberated? Let me go to hell by disobeying the spiritual master. I don't care. Well, so long the others benefit. This is real spiritualism. Then the spiritual master, he said, you are more than me. You have surpassed me. You have understood. I am a fool number one. You are the true spiritualist. He told him like this. The spiritual master excused him. That means that the spiritual master was not a fool either. When a gentleman, it is pointed out that someone made a mistake. A gentleman will admit, yes, I've done a mistake, let me go on. A fool and rascal, he will never admit. No, even it is pointed out to his face, you are nonsense, you are a rascal. No, I will still go on in my ignorance. That is not a gentleman, that is a mudha, an ass. You see? So these so-called Brahmins, they're still going on. Any false Brahmin, he's just like a Rakshasa. It might be from a so-called caste Brahmana family or some other pretender. Any pretender, he's a Rakshasa. Dangerous Rakshasa. Not just Rakshasa, but dangerous Rakshasa. So, they're very much against this chanting. They're very much against people getting liberated, even in this world. Devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement, they're liberated, just like you are also liberated. You don't have to go to work and pay taxes and so many things. You're being liberated by this Krishna consciousness process. So they don't like this. They want to enslave and benefit and exploit. You see? So the Shastra says very clearly, those who are chanting the holy name offenselessly, under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, there is no need for them to take birth in a Brahmana family, perform all these ritualistic ceremonies. There's no need for them even to have a Brahmana initiation, to undergo Brahminical initiation. They're more than a Brahmana, they're Vaishnavas. Someone who chants this holy name is a Vaishnava. In this age of Kali, this is the only way how to benefit. So we should not be fooled by people. It is very unfortunate, these so-called Brahmanas, they engage people in fruitive ritualistic ceremonies, something artificial. And because people are not interested in the chanting. Chanting, what is the chanting? Chanting means, oh Krishna, oh Radharani, please engage me in your devotional service. People challenge, what is this? Religion is supposed to be fulfilling my sense gratificatory desires. That's how people understand religion. The so-called religion is kicked out from the Bhagavatam. Dharma projita, kaitava. The kaitava dharma. Cheating dharma, cheating religion is kicked out from the Srimad Bhagavatam. But people have this understanding. If I go to church, if I go to mosque, I pray to God, please save me from danger. Please give me money. Please give me a nice wife. God is an order supplier. So, the religion of pure bhakti, Kevala bhakti, it's like we chant every day to Srila Prabhupada, Kevala bhakti. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by how to achieve Kevala Bhakti, pure devotional service. And that is very unpopular. Krishna is very unpopular. People will worship Shiva, Ganesh, this, that. Because demigods will fulfill their material desires, but Krishna takes everything. And whatever material you have, you think you have a nice and beautiful, luxurious temple, oh, I'll take it. Because I love you. Because I love you. You're not detached from material sense gratification. So I take it from you. So you advance faster. The advancement is faster. See? If you chant sincerely, you might have material desires. Don't worry. Krishna will make an adjustment in due course of time. So people are not attracted to this pure devotional service. Manusyanam sahasreshu katchiryatasi siraya. Don't expect that millions of people will accept this Krishna conscious movement. They might accept some cheap thing, but the pure thing only a few can understand. You see? So these so-called Brahmins, they prosper. As I said before, this is the material world. In the material world, devotees are failures. Devotees are always defeated. If the devotee is victorious, there's something wrong. Srila Prabhupada also said that opposition means you're doing something rightly. If there's no opposition, you should be anxious. What is going on? Comfortable life, happy life, and spiritual advancement go ill together, Srila Prabhupada says. Very serious. Ill together. If you're after sense gratification and happiness, that is not actually happiness. That is illusory. The more you enjoy this temporary happiness, the more you suffer later on. As I said, they are the results of karma. You incur tremendous suffering for sense gratification. It is mentioned, the saintly person says that the king's son, he should not die. He gives him this advice. A saintly person means a king's son, a prince. He says, don't die. You live forever. So seemingly it seems like a nice wish, but actually the purport is that as soon as the prince dies, he goes to the hell immediately to suffer for all the sinful activities he has incurred while gratifying his senses in the kingdom. It's all topsy-turvy. All topsy-turvy. Everything is topsy-turvy. So these so-called Brahmins, pretenders, they prosper because general mass of people, they want something cheap. Here Prabhupada says, people generally are attracted by these fruitive activities, and very rarely is a person attracted to devotional service, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms. And as one is very, very fortunate, he does not take to devotional service. Even the so-called learned Vedic scholars are bewildered by devotional service. They're generally attracted to the rituals for sense gratification. In devotional service, there is no sense gratification, but only transcendental loving service to the Lord. Consequently, the so-called priests engaged in sense gratification do not very much like devotional service. The Brahmanas, the priests, have been against this Krishna consciousness movement since it began with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started this movement, the priestly class lodged complaints to the Qazi, the magistrate of the Mohammedan government. From the very beginning, they're against. The pretenders are against. And they feel no ecstasy while performing their so-called devotional service. No ecstasy. Prabhupada says. Just like when you take foodstuff, you know, I am satisfied. No need of eating anymore. My hunger is satisfied. You don't need a certificate. You don't need a Brahmin thread to understand. Similarly, if you apply the process of spiritual advancement properly, you become free from sinful activities, from sinful desires. Everybody knows. I am lusty, I am greedy, I am hateful, I am envious. Everybody knows. You know it. You know that you're a rascal. So, if you apply the process properly from the bona fide spiritual master, not misinterpreting the instructions, but following sincerely and strictly, then you must become free from sinful activities. You must, it's a law. If you say, I do not become free from sinful activity, the spiritual master has instructed improperly. He doesn't know how to instruct. You're a cheater, rascal. Don't blame the spiritual master. The problem is that you do not understand the instruction, or you're not sincere to follow the instruction properly. You want a cheap way. That is the reason why you cannot give up sinful activities. So that is not the end of the world. If you cannot give up, that's okay. You associate with those who are situated. You take guidance from them. Don't become envious. Oh, he is so puffed up. He can follow. I cannot follow. So he is very puffed up. No, don't be envious. You learn from him. If someone is more elevated, you learn from him. There's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, if you want prosperity your whole life and after, then if you meet a superior person, someone who's more elevated than yourself, take guidance. If you meet equally qualified, you establish friendship. Don't boast about your achievements. Don't become competitive with equally situated person. Establish friendship, cooperation. And those who are on the lower platform, you be compassionate, you distribute whatever you learn, you give them. Like that. Then you'll be prosperous. So, the sages of Navasharanya were feeling the effect of narrations about the transcendental activities of the Lord. These narrations, they bring the true pleasure to the soul. And they were understanding that these rituals, sacrificial ceremonies, that were meant for the previous ages are no more effective. So this is their glorification of the process of Sankirtan. This is also Sankirtan, discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Sankirtan means glorification of Krishna. So that can be performed in so many different ways. We're going out distributing books, that is also Sankirtan. We're chanting with Vedanga, that is also Sankirtan. Gathering here and discussing the teachings of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, that is also Sankirtan. So many different ways you can engage. But you must be willing, you must understand your position. Don't be attached to sense gratification. Don't run after these temporary things. Name, fame, prosperity, material sense gratification. These are false things. Become attached to Krishna and develop pure devotional attitude towards Krishna. You will never lose. If you serve Krishna purely, then Krishna will take care of all your material necessities. This is the secret. This is why devotees are always materially nicely situated. Just like here, we're here in a new place. Immediately, Krishna arranges very nicely. All the requirements are there. That is because Krishna. You thinking because of this reason, that reason, you see immediate cause. But there is the ultimate cause, that is Krishna. Krishna is taking care of his devotees. Never forget that. Jai. Any questions?
You mentioned that people don't need any facility to chant Hare Krishna, so we can tell them to chant Hare Krishna, but someone might argue, then why are we setting up temples?
Yes, that is for to assist the chanter. Prabhupada said that I can live under a tree, but who will come here to see Bhaktivedanta Swami under a tree? I have to build big palaces with opulence to attract these people. See, they're on that platform. So we must be compassionate, and compassion doesn't mean the one time. It's a whole structure, it's a whole complex organization, this compassion of the Acharya. So we go out, we distribute books, and then we also establish temples. So people become attracted by the opulence, they come to the temple, and then they engage in chanting Hare Krishna. It is not so easy. As I said before, most of the people are not attracted to pure devotional service because there's nothing, no benefits, materially speaking. There is no fruit. The purpose of this movement is to give up any sort of fruitive expectation. So people don't like that. I work, and there's nothing. It's very mysterious. They feel cheated. I've been chanting Hare Krishna for so many years, and still I'm not the temple president, still I'm not this, still I'm not that. What is this? It's a great mystery. So, in order to trick them to chant, we establish these temples. But if the chanting is not there, in these temples, the discussions are not there of the Srimad Bhagavatam, then that temple is not a temple. It is a place for hogs and dogs to pass stool and eat. Yeah, Prabhupada says these will be pigeonholes. If you neglect the deity worship, it will become a pigeonhole. A pigeonhole. You saw a pigeonhole before?
Yeah.
It's a house, for the pigeons, full of stool. No one is washing. Because they're pigeons, they're animals. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also, he didn't like this, showing the deity, ringing the bell and collecting donations and then sleeping and eating. Don't exploit Krishna like this. Krishna is not your servant. You must distribute the preaching, you must explain to people, and you must explain in such a way that people take up the process of devotional service. Anyone can speak any nonsense, but are people taking up the process? That is the sign that your preaching is effective. Otherwise, everyone is preaching some nonsense, right? People come here, they also preach about their life, about their philosophy. Everyone is speaking some kind of a philosophy. But are people, are they influenced by your preaching? Are they taking up the process seriously? That is the real test. Just like we have in the bliss, devotees, you are taking up the process. That means this preaching is effective. That is the sign that we're connected to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya with Srila Prabhupada. That is the effect. And you're preaching, and no one is joining the movement, no one is giving up sinful activities. Maybe you yourself are not giving up sinful activities. And how are you connected to the Sampradaya? You're not. Okay. Any other questions?
Isn't it like a vicious cycle? Like we're, in a small flat. And we said that, Prabhupada said that I have to build these big palaces.
Yeah.
So we can't really build a big palace.
No, you must be qualified.
There is no opulence.
You must be qualified. That's a big energy. Lots of energy. That's what Lord Chaitanya says. And there's also an injunction. One should not construct temples. One should not construct temples. One should not accept many disciples. Right? Because you're not qualified. Who do you think you are? Srila Prabhupada is empowered by Lord Chaitanya. He can do that, deal with a great number of sinful persons and engage them. We're not so, at least I maybe you are, but I'm not feeling so qualified. So this is all just a learning process. Learning. Krishna is trying to qualify us for this service. See, this is another point. A devotee should not hanker, I want this. There's no ambition. When Krishna wants, he will give you that service. For the time being, you follow the basics. Srila Prabhupada never said you must, make many temples and become a great guru and this. No, he said chant 60 rounds, follow the 4 regulative principles. Rise early, attend the Mangala Aratik. Read my books, understand my books, discuss with one another. This itself will take you many years, unless you're some exceptional devotee. This takes many, many years to understand what this philosophy is about. What is actually pure devotional service? What are we actually practicing here? What is preaching? That we have to know. We have to become fully self-controlled, otherwise we become misled. So Krishna is very careful not to expose you to that sort of Maya. So don't be after it. Krishna is very careful, he knows. He gives you exactly what you need. What is the use of, these big temples and so on, if you go to hell? Better you have nothing, you chant purely and go back home back to Godhead. What is better? You tell me. What is better? Going back home back to Godhead, or building a big palace, which will also be destroyed ultimately? All these temples, they're just facilities, so we can become Krishna's devotees, pure devotees. So it is a test. What are you after? Are you after Krishna's lotus feet, or are you after name and fame and success? Look at Srila Prabhupada. For 70 years there was no external success. Even Prabhupada had a big house in Jhansi. You know this pastime? In Jhansi, you don't know?
No.
Prabhupada was in Jhansi, in India. League of Devotees. He had a movement, League of Devotees. Many people, a big house. And then
people? Yeah, people there.
Yeah, there were Janmastami, there were people coming, it was big. He was working with the students, medical students. His first disciple, Prabhakar Mishra, was involved. So, but the temple was not in his name. Some Mataji owned it, and when she decided, I'm going to have some kind of a women club there, so he kicked out Prabhupada. And, we're going to have our own, and you get out. So the whole thing was smashed. The whole preaching, League of Devotees, was smashed. Then Prabhupada took shelter of Vrindavan and started preparing for America, writing the Srimad Bhagavatam and so on and so on. So that Leela nobody is studying. The great Leela are sitting on a Vyasasana that everyone wants to imitate. I'm like Prabhupada, and smashing, you're rascal and you're bogus, and point out who's not a sadhu. That is very nectarian. But this Leela no one imitates. The unsuccessful Leela. There's 70 years of Prabhupada's life, unsuccessful. Nothing. So then we have to also follow in the footsteps of the Acharya. Unsuccessful. Yes. That is your success. That even in testing times, you go on chanting and hearing. Go on. Everything is going on in your life simply so you can increase your chanting and hearing quality. It's simply a lesson. You should take it like that. Number one priority, my chanting, my hearing. Number one priority. Everything else is simply assisting. But the nonsense people, they take it the other way around. What is, my lila, my life, that is number one, and I'll use the chanting and hearing as assistants to, increase my glory. I'll make a show of chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. See, I'm chanting. Nonsense. Alright, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, and Thai Gora Premanandi. Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Gurvani Acharya Nirvishesha Shunari Vacha